Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. When she plays, Pradeep, you play perfectly.
She's better than me. Smarter than me.
No, she keeps the time.
Sorry about that.
Okay, 1 and 2, 1. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Paravajikacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajikacharya Ashtotar to Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So I have verse 20 here in chapter 1. Anyone have any other idea? I think that's it. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 6th day of April, 2026 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukṣetra, text number 20 at the bottom of page 43. Okay. Atam Babastitan Drishtva Dhartarashtan Kapidvajaha Pravitte Shastra Sampate Dhanur Udyamya Pandavaha Rishikesham tada vakyam idam aha mahipate atam vivastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate Atam vivastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate Tapas. Atam vivastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate. Go ahead, Luis. Atam vyavastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate. Bhakti Jeff. Atam vyavastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha. No, let's get that one right. This is the name of Krishna. Rishikesham. Yes. Rishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate. Atha vyavastitan drishtva Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha Pravitte shastra sambhate Dhanurudyam yapandavaha Vishikesham tada vakyam Idamaha mahipate. Did I hear that Prem Gopal was there?
Hare Krishna Dravida Prabhu, yes.
Haribol, you're on.
Ata vyavastitan drishtva
Atam vyavastitan drishtva
Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha
Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha
Pravrite shastra sambhate
Pravitte shastra sambhate
Dhanur udyam yapandavaha
Dhanurudyam yapandavaha
Rishikesham tada vakyam
Vishikesham tada vakyam
Idam aha mahipate.
Idamaha mahipate. Bhakti Chad.
Atya vyavastitan drispa
Atam vyavastitan drishtva
Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha
Dhartarashtran kapidvajaha
Pravite shastra sampate
Pravitte shastra sambhate
Dhanar udyam yapandavaha
Dhanurudyam yapandavaha
Rishikesham tadavakyam
Rishikesham tadavakyam
Idamaha mahipate.
Idamaha mahipate. Okay, word by words. Ata thereupon, Vyavastitan, arrayed for battle, Drishtva, looking upon, Dhartarashtran, the sons of Dhritarashtra, Kapidvajaha, he whose flag was marked with Hanuman, It's Arjuna. Pravite, while about to engage, Shastra Sampate, in releasing his arrows, Dhanuhu, bow, Udyamya, taking up. Pandavaha, the son of Pandu, Arjuna, Rishikesham, unto Lord Krishna, Tada, at that time, Vakyam, words, idam, these, aha, said, Mahipate, O king. Translation. At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in the military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Purport. The battle was just about to begin. It is understood from the above statement that the sons of Dhritarashtra were more or less disheartened by the unexpected arrangement of military force by the Pandavas, who were guided by the direct instructions of Lord Krishna on the battlefield. The emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna is another sign of victory, because Hanuman cooperated with Lord Ram in the battle between Rama and Ravana, and Lord Rama emerged victorious. Now both Ram and Hanuman were present on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Ram himself, and wherever Lord Ram is, his eternal servitor Hanuman and his eternal consort Sita, the goddess of fortune, are present. Therefore Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever. And above all, the Lord of the senses, Lord Krishna, was personally present to give him direction. Thus all good counsel was available to Arjuna in the matter of executing the battle in such auspicious conditions arranged by the Lord for his eternal devotee, lay the signs of assured victory. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So that's the introductory verses, setting the scene there with the two armies arrayed, and Lord, let's see, I think. Yeah, so they haven't yet gone, the chariot is not yet between the two armies. This is, the blowing of the conches took place and the two armies were separated. And the tremendous battle is about to begin. So, you know, so many akshauhinis, and akshauhini is a measure of military strength. It consists of so many thousands of soldiers, infantry, and so many thousands of horses, and those who are riding on the horses, cavalry, I guess you call them, and elephants, so many thousands of elephants, you know. So Krishna had I forget how many akshauhinis. He had a bunch of akshauhinis, and that all ended up on the other side, because you remember the pastime where Krishna was sleeping, and both Arjuna and Duryodhana went to see him. And the understanding was that whoever he saw first would have a chance to choose whether to take his armies or to take him personally. So he saw Arjuna first. Arjuna was at the feet of Krishna, you know, because he's a devotee, and Duryodhana was up near the head, hoping to be seen first, you know, which is kind of offensive. So Krishna saw Arjuna. He made sure that he opened his eyes, and he was looking at his feet, and there was Arjuna. So Arjuna had the first chance what to take. And the choice was between all those akshauhinis. Krishna had, I don't know, 16 akshauhinis, you know, I just remember a huge army. And the other side, Krishna would be alone on the other side, but he would not fight, you know. So I think Arjuna had the first chance to pick, and he picked Krishna rather than the whole armies. He said that Krishna was much more important to have. And Duryodhana, being the fool that he was, breathed a big sigh of relief, thinking that he came out ahead, that he'll get all those armies. What will I do with Krishna? Just one guy, you know. He didn't know he's God. So that was an important thing. And now, finally, after all that's happened, you know, you hear about the Mahabharata, in the Bhagavatam, there's so many things. And, you know, the Pandavas were the rightful heirs of the throne, because Pandu was the eldest son. Yeah, Pandu was the eldest son, but he died in the forest with queens. At one point, the BBT was going to print a Mahabharata, and so I started editing part of it. And he had his queen there, Kunti and Madri, were both there. And the Kshatriyas, they can practice their Kshatriya skills by shooting some of the animals out there. That's one of the things they can do. So he saw a deer and he shot the deer, but the deer happened to be a Brahmin who had taken the form of a deer and was about to mate with his she-deer, and he was killed. Or maybe the she-deer was killed anyway. So Pandu was cursed that if you try to have sex with either of your wives, you're going to die. So that was a pretty serious curse. So he abstained for some time, but at one point he had sex with Madri, I think it was, and he died. So now by that time he had the children. Several were by Madri and several were by Kunti. And so now they're orphans, So that was the situation. They came back, and Bhishma Dev stepped in. He helped take care of help raise the kids, So he became very affectionate to the Pandavas. And so here the situation was Pandu was the eldest, so he was the rightful king. You see? I'm sorry? No. Pandu was the eldest. Pandu was the eldest. Pandu was the eldest. He was the first. Pandu means white.
No.
Yes.
But Dhritarashtra was the eldest.
No.
Yes.
No.
But he was blind.
He was the eldest surviving son.
Yeah.
But no, Pandu was the eldest. That the kingdom was his. But he died, then it went to Dhritarashtra. He was the next in line. But he was blind.
Dhritarashtra was eldest.
No. Anyway, we'll look it up later, okay? Let's put it on hold. Anyway, the point is that there was a big dispute, and Dhritarashtra, well, he was the eldest. Dhritarashtra was the father, but he wasn't the eldest. He was blind, right? Dhritarashtra was blind. So even though, you're right, he was the eldest. She's right. All right, I apologize. So he was the eldest, but because he was blind, he couldn't have the kingdom, right? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right. Absolutely. What do I know? So therefore it went to Pandu, but Pandu died. And so Dhritarashtra felt, well, why should the kingdom now go to his sons rather than me? I'm the eldest. So the kingdom should rightly go to my sons, headed by Duryodhana. He has 100 sons. So that was the confusion, you see. But he was, so there was some question about it. And the Duryodhana was, demonic. I mean, he conspired to kill the Pandavas. Huh? Yudhishthira was the eldest. Yeah, but the point was that the kingdom was to go to was a Vichitravirya, right, and then his sons, but he couldn't have any sons that they called Vyasadeva to have sons and his different wives, and Dhritarashtra was blind because Vyasadeva was a sage in the forest. He had all the beard and everything, and he was kind of fierce. So the lady, she had closed her eyes, right? The wife, I forget her name. They closed her eyes. She didn't want to see him. And so they had sex and then gave birth to Dhritarashtra. But because she closed her eyes, the child was blind, was born blind. And Pandu, he was white, right? The next lady was, oh my God, so she turned white. And so the son was white, especially white complexion, so it was Pandu like that. And then there was Vidura, who wasn't even born from one of the wives. So he was out, but he favored the Pandavas and helped them in so many ways, right?
He was the wisest one.
Vidura. Mm-hmm. See, I don't know about all those little details. Anyway, let's go on here with Bhagavad Gita. So the whole point is that they were able to cheat them out of the kingdom and then exile them for 13 years. And if they were caught, if they were recognized, there was another 13 years, so they had to go incognito. And Arjuna, he disguised himself as a dancing teacher, right? It was like, yes. Because anything Kshatriyish, you might have been recognized as, oh, I'm a dancing teacher. Anyway, it's all there in the Mahabharata. So now it's all coming to a head. This is the climax, you know, on the battle. All the millions of soldiers are on each side. And Arjuna is the main warrior on the Pandava side. So now he's going to address Krishna. I don't think we did it. Did we do 20? Yeah, we did 20. Okay. So Arjuna said, seated on the chariot, took the bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. Then after looking at the Sanjaya Dhritarashtra in military, he then spoke to Krishna these words. So that's the next words for the verse, text 21-22. So I'll just say, you say, Arjuna Vacha, Senayor Bayor Madhye, Ratam Stapaya Mechuta, Yavaritan Niriksheham, Yodukaman Abastitan, Karmaya Sahayodhavyam, Asmin Manasabudjame. Arjuna said to Krishna, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Report. Okay. It's been pretty warm. That little argument we had really heated me up. So. I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is sacred. You can see the holy names are on there. Okay, purport. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. As charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna. And since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishikesh, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. Since he is master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master in all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins, but he was forced to come onto the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. So, Prabhupada spends most of the purport describing Krishna's unique position. He's Rishikesh. Now, this name comes up several times in Bhagavad Gita. It's very important to understand. Rishika is a word that means senses. Rishika and Indriya, I think, are synonyms. And Isha means Lord. So Rishika Isha becomes Rishikesha. So whose senses are he's the Lord of everyone's senses, our senses. These senses, we're claiming them, we try to use them for sense gratification, but the real most auspicious position is to be engaged in the service of Krishna's senses, Krishna's pleasure. And this is precisely what Arjuna was eventually, we'll see, we know the story, that he was hesitant to do. He didn't want to do it because his beloved friends, his guru, his teacher of martial arts, and of course Bhishma Dev, who helped raise him when his father died. He came in and helped out. So there's a great bond of affection there. Plus so many other, it was like an internecine battle. Because they were from the Pandavas were also Kurus. They were Kurus, but because Dhritarashtra wanted to try to get him out of the line, they call them Pandavas, the sons of Pandu. But they were also Kurus, so these were their cousins, and like that. So that was very painful for Arjuna, and he was put into this situation, this Maya, like the bodily concept of life. These are all my relatives, blood relatives, and married. By Krishna put him into that illusion so that he could speak the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna represents us, you see. So now Arjuna wants to see, well, who is actually on the other side? So I can't see from here, it's kind of far, so take me between the two armies. The no man's land, they're facing off, and there's this land in between. So Krishna did that. So he's going to do that now. Let's go on. Text 23. Yotsyamanan abhiksheham ya ete trasamagataha dharta rashtrasya durbudhir yudhe priyachikirshavaha. Arjuna still speaking. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Purport. It was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans, in collaboration with his father, Dhritarashtra. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjuna wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were, but he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face, although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. Okay, text 24. Sanjaya uvacha eva mukto rishikesho Kurukṣetra Bharata Senayor Ubayor Madhye Stapiyat Bharatottamam. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, not to Dhritarashtra, yes, to Dhritarashtra, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot between the armies of the two parties. Purport. In this verse, Arjuna is referred to as Gudakesha. Gudaka means sleep, and one who conquers sleep is called Gudakesha. Sleep also means ignorance, so Arjuna conquered both sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. As a great devotee of Krishna, he could not forget Krishna even for a moment, because that is the nature of a devotee. Either in waking or in sleep, a devotee of the Lord can never be free from thinking of Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Thus, a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance simply by thinking of Krishna constantly. This is called Krishna consciousness, or samadhi. As Rishikesha, or the director of the senses and mind of every living entity, Krishna could understand Arjuna's purpose in placing the chariot between the armies. Thus he did so, and spoke as follows. Bhishma Drona Pramukata Sarvesham Shamahik Chitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaitan Samavetan Kuruniti. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." Purport. As the supersoul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjuna. The use of the word Rishikesha in this connection indicates that he knew everything. And the word Partha, meaning the son of Pritha or Kunti, is also similarly significant in reference to Arjuna. As a friend, he, the Lord, wanted to inform Arjuna that because Arjuna was the son of Pritha, the sister of his own father, Vasudeva, he, the Lord, had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjuna. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjuna to behold the Kurus? Did Arjuna want to stop there and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his aunt Pritha. The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. So there's, when Arjuna sees Bhishma and Drona, he had a special affection for them. Dronacharya was his teacher, his military guru. And Bhishma was his beloved grandfather figure who helped raise him. And Bhishma was the main fighter on the other side. So Arjuna might well have to face him and personally kill him, or even be, secondarily responsible for his death. This was going to become a big block to Arjuna engaging in the fight, And so that this will develop in the rest of this chapter and the beginning of the next chapter. Arjuna is appealing to the Vedas and all kinds of reasons why he doesn't want to fight. Yes?
Question that before the war begins, Krishna tried to convince to show his Vishwarup to Durjodhana, even to Duryodhana.
I'm sorry, do what?
Before the war begins, Krishna has gone to the Hastinapur for peace negotiation.
Yeah.
And he actually showed his Vishwarup to everyone,
Yes,
even to Dhritarashtra, even Duryodhana. Like they saw that Lord Shiva is coming from him, Arjuna is coming from him, everyone is coming from him. But how is it possible for Duryodhana to be still believing he is not God? How is that possible? Like everybody believed in the Shava that Krishna is God. Even Dhritarashtra, he believed.
Yeah.
But how is it possible for Duryodhana not to believe?
Because he didn't want to. In other words, he was so fixed on getting this kingdom that he wasn't ready to accept that it wasn't going to happen. And so the only way that it could not happen is if Krishna was not God. I mean, if Arjuna's best friend is God Almighty, then how am I going to win the battle? So he was so fixed and obsessed with getting the kingdom, that he would do things. All these conspiracies to murder and everything. You could see that he was ready to go to all. So at that point, to have to accept after all of this, well, there's no chance. I might as well give it up. He wasn't able to do that, and so he would deny it, somehow deny it, in his mind and do something that's irrational. That's the way I see it. Is that and also we have to remember that Krishna wanted the battle to take place because it was going to erase a lot of the demoniac forces on the earth. So he may have actually got into his head, his super soul, and said, "Don't worry about it." I'm just speculating. I shouldn't speculate, but that's this battle is a plan of Krishna's. It comes out in the 11th chapter. This is So, all right, let's go on. All right, so did we do 24 already? We're on 25. Yeah, okay. All right. Bhishma Drona Pramakata. So, we did 25?
Yeah.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, we did it.
The mind of Arjuna was thus predicted by the Lord in friendly joking. All right, I accept it. You want it? You can sit here if you want. I'm not attached. All right, text 26. Tatra pashyat stitan partha. Pitrin atapitamahan. Archayan matulan bratrin. Putran pautran sakins tata. Shvashuran suridas chaiva. Senayor bayorapi. There Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and all well-wishers. Now actually, I think there's something in the Sanskrit, but he saw on both sides. I mean, on the other side, the main thing he saw, amongst the enemies, so-called, all of these things that are just listed here. Purport: on the battlefield, Arjuna can see all kinds of relatives on both sides. He could see persons like Bhuri Shrabha, who were his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhana, sons like Lakshman, friends like Ashwatthama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, etc. All of these he saw on the other side. And he could also see, in his own army, that his own army contained many of his friends, of course. There's a problem here. You also see the armies which contain many of his friends. What does that mean? Of course he could see the armies. Anyway, The point was that he looked, when you look carefully on the other side, these are the ones he's going to try to kill, and these are, you know, lists of people who are all relatives, fathers, figures, grandfather figures, teachers, maternal uncles, so forth, brothers, sons. So this is now going to give him pause. He's going to be very afraid to, you know, he doesn't want to. Text 27. Tan samiksha sakaunteya savan bandhu navastitan kripaya parihavishto vishidan hidamam ravit. When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. So this is the last thing that you want your head warrior to do, be overwhelmed with compassion for the other side, but that's what happened. Arjuna vacha Drishmemam swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum samapastitam Sidanti mama gatrani Mukam cha parishushyti. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up." Purport. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities which are found in godly persons or in the demigods, whereas the non-devotee, however advanced he may be in material qualifications by education and culture, lacks in godly qualities. As such, Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends, and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by compassion for them who had so decided to fight among themselves. As far as his soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. And while he was so thinking, the limbs of his body began to quiver and his mouth became dry. He was more or less astonished to see their fighting spirit. Practically the whole community, all blood relatives of Arjuna, had come to fight with him. This overwhelmed a kind devotee like Arjuna. Although it is not mentioned here, still one can easily imagine that not only were Arjuna's bodily limbs quivering and his mouth drying up, but he was also crying out of compassion. Such symptoms in Arjuna were not due to weakness, but to his soft-heartedness, a characteristic of a pure devotee of the Lord. It is said, therefore, Yasyasti bhakti bhagavatya kinchana sarva gunaistatta samasate suraha harava bhakta sukuto mahadguna manoratena satidhavato bahi. One who has unflinching devotion for the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. But one who is not a devotee of the Lord has only material qualifications that are of little value. This is because he is hovering on the mental plane and is certain to be attracted by the glaring material energy. So this is this is all planned by Krishna and foreseen that this would happen. Because if Arjuna wanted to fight right away, we wouldn't have a Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna has arranged that Arjuna that his devotional qualities would come and overwhelm his devotion to duty as a Kshatriya. And at one point of critical verse in the beginning of the next chapter, where Arjuna's karpanya dosho apahata svabhava, one of the meanings there is that this fault now of which is like a Kṛṣṇa, miserly influence. Karpanya dosha is this fault. Apahata svabhava has taken away my actual nature as a Kshatriya. In other words, I'm not manifesting my usual fighting spirit because of this miserly weakness that has come like this. So he's torn. He realizes that Krishna wants him to fight and that his duty is to fight, but he's got all of these relationships in his soft-hearted devotee. So there's a big contradiction that comes. That's the whole Bhagavad Gita is spoken to undo that.
Why do you use the word miserly?
Miserly? It means that he understood that he was rejecting Krishna's desire, and that he was more considerate now of his own desire, which was that he wouldn't have to kill these relatives. So he was more, this is a personal desire. And so he saw the contradiction there and the great problem it would cause You're fully aware of that, but still, as Prabhupada brings it, this is also part of his soft-heartedness as a devotee, natural devotee. And these are all, blood relatives, people he grew up with, dear cousins. At one point he says, I can't even imagine living without seeing the son of Dhritarashtra. If they are killed, I don't even want to live, which is amazing, because they tried to kill him and his brothers many times. You wanted to say something with the mic? The mic. Tapas, share that mic.
Thank you. So if we have a spiritual duty to do something, then our resistance to that is miserly, or it's essentially we're looking out for our own self-interest and perhaps what...
Yes, that can be characterized as miserly. But in other words, that is a negative term, in that if you're miserly, that it's not good to be a miser, except if you're greedy for chanting the holy name. I'll just insert that one. The devotee prays to be a miser. Vichayani, vichayani, vichinjani punak punaha, kripanasa dhanani vatunnamani bhavantunak. Did I chant that one already? Yeah. Okay. Compelled to constantly collect and count his precious hoard, the miser contemplates his wealth with avaricious aims. Please bless me to become a miser who's compelled the Lord to constantly collect and count and chant your holy names. So to be greedy for Krishna is good. There's another verse which I won't get into now. But generally greed is reserved for greed for material things, So that's why Arjuna was saying, that on one hand, this is just my nature, these are my friends and relatives, but I understand that's a great impediment for me performing my actual duty as a Kshatriya, and this is what Krishna wants. So he kind of, he sits down on the chariot, and then now no more arguments, because the whole rest of the chapter he's going to present his case based on the Vedas, why he shouldn't fight. But then at the beginning, he finally rejects it and he says, "Please instruct me as a guru." Now I don't want to be in a position of your friend, because we can argue forever. Prabhupada makes that point. But now as a shishya, and you're the guru, then I can't argue. So please give me the instruction. And then the rest of the Bhagavad Gita comes out. You want to say something?
You explained that Arjuna understood that following Krishna's desire is more important than his own desire.
Yes.
He's surrendering to Krishna. So from our standpoint view, I don't feel in that way. So my mind always says to follow my own desire. So that means I'm not even eligible?
No, you understand intellectually that the proper thing to do, right? You understand the philosophy is to do Krishna's desire, but you have your own desires also. Yeah, so that's the process of Krishna consciousness. When we have to do what Arjuna did, we have to accept the leadership, of Prabhupada and his representatives, genuine, and recognize that we're going to do things that, the process of surrender. There's these 6 limbs of surrender, Sharanagati. Anukulyena sankalpa pratikulya sivarjanam rakshishati vishwaso gopta devananang tata atmanikshepa karpani shadvadha shadanagati. So this is the process of surrender. If we don't surrender to the Guru and Krishna, then we're going to surrender to our own false ego, our misconceptions. So the first one is accept the things favorable to devotional service. So we don't have to worry about giving up unfavorable things at first. We have to accept the favor. With most things, chant Hare Krishna. To chant Hare Krishna and read the books, attend the class and everything. But then particularly Yasavarjanam, to give up those things that are impediments that we may be very attached to. That's a challenge, right? But that's part of the surrendering process. And then to be confident of Krishna's protection, Rakshishati Vishwa Goptadve, and his maintenance. To not be so absorbed in, accumulating a big bank balance, for security's sake and everything. But to get what we need and trust in Krishna that he'll provide what we need. And also, Goptadve, Rakshishati, then he will protect. These are the 2 things. Yoga Kshema. Krishna says in the 8th chapter, I will carry Yoga Kshema. Yoga are the things we need to live. Kshema is your security. You know, you may have your nice house and everything, but if there's a big mob coming to kill everyone, you know, where's my security? You know, so you need two things to live: security, you know, and you know, food and place, lodging, all these different things. So to have faith that if I just serve Krishna and do my duty nicely, then Krishna will provide. Now that doesn't mean you have to quit your job. That's also part of, you know, maintenance. But having faith that, okay, if I lose my job, I'll get another one. I shouldn't panic. You know, Krishna will provide. He's just testing me. And then Atmanikshepa, always being very meek and humble. Atmanikshepa karpanye, and forget. I think one is meek, one is humble, something like that. The 6 elements of the. So that's the. And Arjuna, he knew, you know, but he had this very strong attack. I mean, he was put under a spell, the Maya, that he will manifest this contradiction between what he knows is his duty and what his heart is compelling him to do. And I can't fight with Bhishma, you know, he helped us and like that, you know. So there's a dilemma. And the whole Bhagavad Gita is spoken to bring him out of that. And to show him how, and that's why the first lesson is nobody's going to die, right? That's the beginning of the instruction is Natvevaham Jatu Nasam, is like, I think the 2nd or 3rd verse he speaks. That never was there a time when I did not exist nor you. There are all these soldiers. And in the future, none of us will cease to be, will continue to be. Yes, we may have different form, different dress, vasangsi jirnaniyad, but everyone's going to be alive. And ultimately, he says on this, or it's in the Bhagavatam, I think, that anyone who is killed on the battlefield in the presence of Krishna goes, you know, there's some difference whether they go back to Godhead or they just get liberation or whatever. But everyone is blessed, even though there's so much blood. And you know, Yudhishthira was heartbroken. He was crushed by it. There's a whole thing in the Bhagavatam where he couldn't be solaced, and then Bhishma instructed him, you know, and he finally accepted it, you know, that yes, because those millions of men were killed, and then also the horses, the elephants, you know, all of them. He felt responsible. All because of me, so I can have the kingdom? No, because this is what Krishna wanted. Because, you know, Vinashaya Dushkatam, there are all of these demons, you know, with the armies, and there was a demonic force. So he was clearing the path for the rule of Dharma in the person of Yudhishthira. Okay, so let's see. One more. Text 29, bottom of page 49. Vepatush chasharire me Romaharshas chajayate Gandivam shrunksate hastat Tvakchaiva paridahyate. So he's describing his symptoms now. My whole body is trembling. My hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. Purport. There are 2 kinds of trembling of the body and 2 kinds of standings of the hair on end. Such phenomena occur either in great spiritual ecstasy or out of great fear under material conditions. There is no fear in transcendental realization. Arjuna's symptoms in this situation are out of material fear, namely loss of life. This is evident from other symptoms also. He became so impatient that his famous bow Gandiva was slipping from his hands. And because his heart was burning from within him, he was feeling a burning sensation of the skin. All these are due to a material conception of life. So I read elsewhere, you know, this dropping of the bow is like, you know, if someone suggests that to a kshatriya, then it's a fight. That you telling me to put my bow down? No, you know, but his bow is slipping from his hand. So it shows he's paralyzed in his role as a kshatriya by all of this feeling that is, you know, this compassion, which isn't appropriate in this case, but is symptomatic of his soft devotee heart. So he's describing it, and anyway, and he goes on. Okay, one more. Nata shaknomya vastatum brahmati vachame manaha nimittani cha pashyami vapaditani keshava. I am now unable to stand here any longer. I am forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O Krishna, killer of the Keshi demon. Purport. Due to his impatience, Arjuna was unable to stay on the battlefield, and he was forgetting himself on account of this weakness of his mind. Excessive attachment for material things puts a man in such a bewildering condition of existence. Bhayam Vidya Vinaveshatak Syat. Boy, you should recognize that verse. I quote it practically every class. Bhagavatam 11.237. Such fearfulness and loss of mental equilibrium take place in persons who are too affected by material conditions. Arjuna envisioned only painful reverses in the battlefield. He would not be happy even by gaining victory over the foe. The words nimittani, viparitani are significant. When a man sees only frustration in his expectations, he thinks, why am I here? Everyone is interested in himself and his own welfare. No one is interested in the Supreme Self. By Krishna's will, Arjuna is showing ignorance of his real self-interest. One's real self-interest lies in Vishnu, or Krishna. The conditioned soul forgets this and therefore suffers material pains. Arjuna thought the victory in the battle would only be a cause of lamentation for him. Okay, so for extra credit, who can cite that verse, one of Prahlad's prayers to Nrsingadev? Who is that? Is that you? Where one's real self-interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, but people don't know that. Nate vidu svartagatim hi Vishnum. Svartagatim hi Vishnum. That Vishnu is your actual goal of the soul, is your real spiritual. So Prabhupada is referring that here, that when in Maya, people don't see that. They think that their interest lies in something related to their own aggrandizement or something. Or for those they love, that they'll be, that's another thing, to extend the bodily conception to your nation, your family, all these things. But one's real self-interest lies in Vishnu or Krishna. So real self-interest lies in cultivating Krishna consciousness. That's the point. All right, one more. Nacha shreyo na pashyami hatva swajanamahave nakangshe vijayam Krishna natarajam sukhanicha. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. Purport. Without knowing that one's self-interest is in Vishnu or Krishna, conditioned souls are attracted by bodily relationships, hoping to be happy in such situations. In such a blind conception of life, they forget even the causes of material happiness. Arjuna appears to have even forgotten the moral codes for a Kshatriya. It is said that two kinds of men, namely the Kshatriya who dies on the battlefront and the person in the renounced order of life who is absolutely devoted to spiritual culture, are eligible to enter into the sun globe, which is so powerful and dazzling. Arjuna is reluctant even to kill his enemies, let alone his relatives. He thinks that by killing his kinsmen, there would be no happiness in his life, and therefore he is not willing to fight, just as a person who does not feel hunger is not inclined to cook. He, Arjuna, has now decided to go into the forest and live in a secluded life in frustration. But as a Kshatriya, he requires a kingdom for his subsistence, because the Kshatriyas cannot engage themselves in any other occupation. But Arjuna has no kingdom. Arjuna's sole opportunity for gaining a kingdom lies in fighting with his cousins and reclaiming the kingdom inherited from his father, which he does not like to do. Therefore, he considers himself fit to go to the forest to live a secluded life of frustration. Okay, so these verses we'll read tomorrow. He describes in great detail. Poems, a few poems. All right, we haven't heard the Kunja Vihar Ashtaka in a while. You ready? You may have forgotten it. Okay. Inna nila mani mandala vana, pullani pukasamanchatakarna, Krishna lambada kishora sihari, sundaro jayati kunja bihari. His smooth complexion conquers sapphires, stunning to the eye. Kadamba blooms with fragrance full on each ear gently lie. His beauty's great, and by his chest a Gunja necklace stays. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Radhika Vadana Chanda Chakora Sava Ballabhabadu Tichora. Charchari Chatudatan Chatachari Charuto Jayati Kunja Bihari. Chakora longing for the moon of Radha's radiant face. A thief purloining patience from the cowherd's wives apace. His expert rhythmic dancing winning all the gopis' praise. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Sarvatak Patila Kaulaka Parva Dvangsanena Ritavasa Vagarva Goshta Rakshana Kate Gididhari Leelaya Jayati Kunja Bihari. Hear that name? Gididhari? This is about the Govardhan Leela. When Indra's sacrifice he stopped, he stole the Deva's pride by playfully uplifting Giri Govardhan to hide his friends and cows beneath the hill for 7 nights and days. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Ragamandala Vibhushita Vangshi Vibrameda Madanosa Vashangsi Stuyamana Chaditakshuka Shrenabir Jayati Kunja Bihari. Heartwarming warbling melodies adorn his flute which sings of Cupid's fest to him unending happiness it brings. The parrot pairs his loving pastimes never tire to praise. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Okay. I don't think we can finish it. I'll do a couple of more, just the English. His glistening garments steal a splendid glow by gold possessed. His crown of perfect peacock plumes defeats all other crests. Vrindavan's radiant girls rejoice to see his loving ways. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Their work ignored, the cowards' wives are nearly paralyzed when dancing glances strike them from the corners of his eyes. Ecstatic heroes setting love-mad Radha's heart ablaze. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. The pastime that the Lord enjoys in Braja's sylvan bowers enhance this octave beauty and pour forth pure nectar showers. Whoever hears these verses soon acquires saintly traits and serves his lustrous lotus feet with love that ne'er abates. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.